Cape York was literally the trip that did $10,000 worth of damage to our car and our boat.
We had parts that broke.
The whole underbody protections come off underneath. Breakage number 1 for the track, look at that.
Snapped.
That's the second bash plate, Matt. It's gone. Folded in half.
Shattered.
I pulled it over because I had smoke coming out the back right-hand tyre of the boat trailer.
Simply fell off and left us stranded.
You're paddling.
Our motor literally just cut out. So we are in a situation here that we're currently getting out of. We are being towed by another boat. Right, we're in a bit of a situation here. We have stalled the four-wheel drive in Palm Creek, which in all honesty almost put our DMAX back to its stock state that we had 4 years ago.
So let's exactly tell the story of what happened, where and what went wrong with our setup.
And I would love to know if you guys have ever experienced a trip like this where literally the minute that you left home, it was cursed and got this bad. So let's start from the beginning. Maddie and I set off from home on one of the biggest adventures to showcase to you guys that not only can you do full driving in the best places in Australia without the need for a $100,000 setup, but as well as doing one of arguably the most unique and crazy adventures that you could do, boat island camping out on the Great Barrier Reef, as well as tackling one of arguably the biggest and hardest sand dunes in Australia, 5 Rocks. But on day 2 of our trip, even reaching 10 kilometers outside of Yeppoon to the first destination of our trip, this happened. We're 10 minutes out of Yeppoon at the moment. Rightio, let me quickly explain, because this was day 3 of our trip and we hadn't even made it to our first destination to take the boat out to go boat island camping when this happened. I pulled over because I had smoke coming out the back right-hand tyre of the boat trailer. We pulled over. We believe so far that the bearing is completely screwed.
So today, after a make-fix second-hand bearing to get us to Yeppoon, by the help of some amazing locals, we had made our way to Tyre Power, where we had more good luck.
So we got up this morning and headed into Tyre Power to get the bearings all checked over.
To Rockhampton, because we have to get the tyre new hub because the bearings had basically bent the inside of the hub and it won't seal at the back, so we
Car pulled over, waving us frantically to let us know that our wheel bearing had exploded and was smoking out of that right side. The legend named Holly pulled us over, managed to take Samuel to Repco to get the correct parts, whilst also taking Samuel to the caravan park because they allowed no late check-ins despite our situation.
Like, what a joke. What caravan park in the middle of Queensland won't let you do a late check-in after 5 p.m, knowing that we're 5 kilometres outside of town and completely broken down and get out of there? They were so bloody rude, and I couldn't speak lower of that caravan park in Yeppoon. I don't like talking smack about anyone on this channel, but I just thought that was just completely disrespectful. I'd love to know what your guys' thoughts are in the comments below.
So yeah, and then what happened was Samuel got back with those Repco parts. He bought 2 parts for 2 different types of bearings just in case, and guess what? Both of them were the same parts because someone had swapped one of them out. So we were screwed with that because Repco had now closed. But lucky for us, Holly's friend came, assessed the situation, said for us to meet him up in Tyre Power tomorrow to see what we could fix, but unfortunately he couldn't help us anymore for this, so it was time we called roadside assist. Before roadside assist even came, we were just lucky that a mechanic pulled over with his shop around the corner, which had a spare bearing that we chucked on just to get us through for the situation for now. So the next day we had to head to Tyre Power in Yeppoon. Huge shout out to the team in Yeppoon because you guys helped take us on as not very good apprentices, but helped us replace both bearings. We then also had to replace both hubs as well, which cost us around $900, but the team helped us get back on the road so we could continue on to the Great Barrier Reef. And then as you guys saw, we went out boat island camping on the Great Barrier Reef, and bloody hell, that was successful. However, then this happens.
You're paddling.
Our motor literally just cut out. That's what I'm hoping.
Yeah, it's spitting out water.
That is running really shit.
Yeah, go.
No, cut out.
Oh. Yeah.
Right, so we are in a situation here that we're currently getting out of. We are being towed by another boat out of the boat ramp because the boat has broken down. We don't know what's going on. It's 5:45 at night. This is we're in a bit of a situation here, but the good thing is somebody's offered to tow us in, and I can at least get the car down and get it on there. So.
And I have to say, really disappointed in that caravan park.
Yeah, they said they close after 5 and they won't let anyone in until the next morning.
We explained our situation about that, we were stuck. Didn't care. They're like, that's your problem to figure out.
So then at one of the campgrounds, I opened up the motor to see if I could have a look at any obvious problems, and I just couldn't find the issue, to later find out that at the Whitsundays Yamaha Repair Centre, they had found the issue was one of the idle actuator control valves, which basically controls the oxygen to the fuel, costing us over $800 in parts to get that fixed. And then from a fishing perspective, probably one of the worst things that can happen out there was the fish finder on the boat actually stopped working. It wasn't registering the transducer that's at the back, which basically does all the sonars below that. Then the next day, which is day 5 of our trip, we headed out to 5 Rocks to tackle Big Sandy. And then this happened.
What was going on there?
Go again.
What was going on there? Is it not great? Yeah, so we got to dig under further.
Down the Big Sandy at 5 Rocks, we saw another forward drive attempt it 5 times to try and get up it. So we knew in ourselves that we were going to be in some trouble. So we let the tyres down to 16 psi, floored it up it, and we completely got bellied out with the sand all the way up to our leaves and also to our underbody protection. Unfortunately for us, we did forget our shovel, so it was all hands on deck, completely burying out the sand, putting the max tracks under, which resulted in us bending our max tracks because we were so bogged. If it wasn't for a couple of legends snatching us out, we would have still been stuck at Big Sandy. Now we can't even get our max tracks properly on the track because they're so bent out of shape.
So on that 5th night of our trip, we were absolutely buggered. We literally got to campsite that night because it was just go, 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 and we just crashed. We'd never felt so exhausted in our life after doing 2 YouTube videos and all those little things gone wrong.
We've never had a trip where we've had such bad luck. I even remember when we came back, I went on the chair and I completely crashed out and fell asleep, which you've got a photo of, but I've never had a trip where we've had such bad luck and get into camp so late each night. We were then on to the next part of our big adventure, the Telegraph track, with no diff lockers, only our personal recovery gear and a winch. Though before we even got to hit the Telegraph track, this happened.
We had the same ongoing problem where we're having the weld snap between the scrub bar and the side steps just on the road and on the corrugations, resulting in one side doing this. And then as you can see here, I had to actually remove the other scrub bar because of safety things. It was actually hanging down below and I didn't want it to pierce up underneath while driving. We also had the left tyre hub cut come off. The left tyre started losing about 50% of its tread. And then on the corrugations, we had a rock flick up and hit our left fog light and actually broke the lens over it. The right headlight globe also went. And then we started having problems with charging our batteries, and one of the DC chargers wasn't putting out too many amps. And I'd noticed we actually had a fractured wire between the DC charger wire and the main battery terminal, which I had to change. And then this happened with the
Oh, Mads, it just broke off.
No way.
Yeah.
So we were so excited. We got a new 270-degree awning, and then we took it to the mechanic.
They had used the old brackets, as I was saying in the video before, and we noticed that
Started slouching, bending on the metal.
Yeah, and broke the metal, and we just got that off there, and I was like, oh, when I noticed it, I was like, oh, I'll be right till we get to campsite.
Yeah.
And I've just given it a little wiggle.
And thank God we did, because otherwise we would have been driving and that would have fallen on someone, hit us.
our awning over to the 270-degree awning. You actually need bigger brackets, and the brackets that came with it weren't used by the mechanic to switch it over, so it actually ended up breaking off just from highway driving. Then underneath the car, we had another rock flick up, and it must have put a hole in our exhaust, just in a fragile section of the exhaust part. And as well as we had diff oil leaking out of the back diff, which seemed to have been out of the pinion seal between the tail shaft and the diff. And then whilst this wasn't a mechanical or a thing that basically stopped us from being able to travel on this trip, but affects you guys because you guys watch this on YouTube, we had my MacBook cable at the back brake, so the screen wasn't working. And then I lost about 50 gigabytes of videos from our Boat Island camping trip, which still needs to be recovered on the hard drive.
Before hitting the Telegraph track, we stayed at Brownwell Station to do a full run through of the rig to check that there's no damage and to prepare for the Telegraph track going over our recovery gear. We thought our luck had come back because there was no damage that we could see, though 5 minutes into the track on Palm Creek, this happened.
What happened?
The whole underbody protection's come off underneath. I've hit something, I was like, oh, that made a weird sound. Bro, look at that under there. Holy, have a look at this. Underneath. Breakage number 1 for the track, look at that. That's the second bash plate, man. It's gone, folded in half.
So two bash plate, 1 store, 1 broken drone.
2 stalls.
Okay.
Battery went quite in the middle of the
Yeah.
So we're up to like 6 or 7.
Yeah, surely we're done.
We heard a huge clunk from underneath the car, and I thought I'd just hit a rock, but before Palm Creek entrance, we'd noticed one of our bash plates had folded in half, and then we lost the other 3 for the rest of the Telegraph track, resulting in all of our underbody protection, bar 1 that is hanging off, that had broken. We then also got this massive dent that you can see here in the front of the bull bar.
Slow down and let go and drive. Let go and drive. Now drive. Woohoo! Good stuff, you alright? It's all good.
I then stored the forward drive at a river crossing at Palm Creek, which we then found out that the car wouldn't turn over as the battery went flat. We had it for about 3.5 years and we found out that it was end of its lifespan. So every time we needed to turn the car on, we had to reset the battery with our battery starter.
Don't stop!
You're going to have to do all the hooking up for me, alright? So did you stall it?
Yes, I stalled it.
Yeah, battery's dead.
Right, we're in a bit of a situation here. We have stalled the four-wheel drive in Palm Creek and we're gonna have to jump start it in the middle of a river crossing.
So underneath the car on the long range fuel tank, we have a few gnarly dents from hitting rocks along the track. And also in our diff, we've got a huge amount of mud and water that we had to clear out when we got back.
And then thank God for rear bar protection, because when we were at gunshot, when we got down and we got stuck, we actually broke the electric brakes trailer plug at the back because it had whacked it, as well as our number plate got completely screwed at some point and came off. Well, speaking of water and mud in our diff, I've just completely finished replacing all of that, and I tell you what, that brings up a really good point I wanted to bring up with you guys. So obviously when you go away four-wheel driving, do a lot of water crossings and things like that, often you might get little sensors in the engine bay or underneath the car that will bring up lights on your dashboard that will just wig out the sensors. And often all that means is usually a sensor has gotten wet as opposed to an actual fault on the vehicle, and it can bring up an engine code or engine light on your dashboard. And just a little bit of relatable, we always have our fuel filter sensor light come on because we get a bit of water on there. It doesn't mean that there's actually any water within the fuel system. So something that's really important for us to carry, particularly when we are traveling remote and there's no one around and our car might go into limp mode, or if something like that happens, is we actually have an OBD2 port reader. Now, the one of choice that we use that I've got here is one from X-Tool. It is the A30M. And long story short, the reason why we use one of these is because they plug into your OBD2 port reader, and for any modern vehicle, I think it's over the year 2000, it plugs into underneath your dashboard here and connects to the computer of your vehicle and actually allows you to read the code that's popped up as a fault on your dashboard, and then allows you to clear it. And just some really cool key features about the exact model that we've got is that it has 23 special functions and more in the future that they often bring out as sort of like updates on your phone, so you can get it as an app on your phone, whether it's an iPhone or an Android. It's also got live data, so it's got like an 8-in-1 live data system, so while the car is running you can see a lot of the data that's coming from the transmission, engine, or what the computer says. And then it also has a lot of lifetime updates as well, and it's really good because it's really portable, small, and you can just keep it in the dash like we do, and allows you to clear and see any faults that you've got on your screen. Have you got anything to say to the camera, Dusty? And then not to mention, this also happened right at the tip. So we've just made it to the tip of Cape York and couldn't be any further away from any mechanic for anything. And this is the final thing to go wrong with the DMAX itself. Check out the bull bar. Pretty sure it's not supposed to do that. So then, to top it all off, at the start of the TELE TRACK, we literally had the drone hit a leaf, and for whatever reason it overheated the gimbal, so we lost the drone at that point. And then towards the end of the track, at one of the river crossings just before Cannonball Creek, I was driving through, the camera was on a tripod, and it literally fell in the water for 2 seconds and overheated the motherboard. So shout out to Cambo, because we're actually using his camera at the moment. Oh, get the camera! Oh, get the camera! Get the camera! Get the camera! You right?
Oh shit! Yeah. But unfortunately we're down by a camera because this one is soaking in some rice because Samuel tsunami'd his own camera.
And I literally just got the quote back yesterday, and it's going to cost me $1,100 to get that fixed, which was a bit annoying. And guys, look, despite all of that happening, it was an absolute epic trip. We had never been boating before, let alone going out on the Great Barrier Reef and doing spearfishing on remote islands, as well as boat island camping, hitting the old telegraph track, as well as unsuccessfully doing 5 rocks and getting proper bogged for the first time. So in all up, despite everything going wrong, as it does, we've actually never had such bad luck on a trip before, and we did the total of how much that all cost. And I'd love to know in the comments right now how much everyone thinks that costed, because I'll quickly give you the answer, and I want to know your honest thoughts, but it was over $10,000 worth of damage.
My honest opinion on the trip is, yeah, well, I've never had such bad luck and things go wrong, but I'm actually really grateful because it gives us the opportunity to know how great some people really are and stick with you and help you through the whole process. Big shout out to Jack and Fab because you took away a big stress of the Telegraph track for us, because a lot of this stuff we would have had to fix. We would have been there for hours or yappering on.
Yeah, I think that just really shows like the Australian attitude that you should have while you're touring in the outback is just help everybody.
Yeah, and I think I always love going up to Cape York. Everyone's in the same boat. So my favourite part was definitely taking the boat island camping. It's an unreal experience that we've never done before, and I think we're going to have to make it a regular thing now.
Oh, absolutely. We're definitely going back up to far north Queensland and doing the Great Barrier Reef. Like, it was absolutely epic. But because of all that damage on the car and on the boat, it's definitely changed the way that we are travelling, and you guys are going to see some big changes over the next 2 to 3 months.
Okay, let's both give him a hug. We're a family. Okay.